one of the things for me this year that I hadn't dealt with before, but I had to work through in like Q3 and Q4 was staying motivated to like do the next thing. What's your North Star? Like what is the thing that, do you ever feel like that? Have you ever got to the point where you're like,
yeah,
what's the next? Like for me, it was almost like I needed to figure out the next sort of evolution of what we were doing.
Yeah.
Because I felt like we had sort of done the thing that I initially set out to do.
Totally.
And then I was like, damn,
yes,
this kind of is weird. Like I hadn't felt that before.
Yeah.
And a lot of like the space here, like trying to start some of this stuff is part of that sort of like getting me more like energized and in tune with it. Like how do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, the two things that come to mind, one was, I mean, when we first started 321, it was like, oh, what, like the brick and mortar, like that was the vision, that was the North Star,
for sure. Yeah,
and it took us 5 years to get there, right? So we did the folding tables, and we did the farmers market, and then Pendo, and then roasting, and like there was all these sort of windy roads that, you know, COVID hit, new plan, right? That but then we at some point we did it, and then it was the like, okay, like, well, now what?
We got
and
the shop,
Michael,
because you all some cool locations, like ones that people would probably be like striving to get to, right?
And
like
we've done it.
Yeah.
And Michael was really cool at saying like Michael can be like take more of like a behind the scenes role, but I will tell you, the man has some like freaking insightful like one-liners that I'm like, you're the one that needs to be
He's
on
a
these
wise
things.
man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like he was like, because we were sort of talking about that, like a little bit of identity crisis.
We'll have to do another one and bring Michael in too, so we can do it all together.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, his comment was, he said, well, now we get to dream again.
Whoa.
And and I was like, okay, goosebumps.
Yeah, I got goosebumps.
Yeah, and I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And it was like, he was right about like, yes, you set a pipe dream and you fulfilled it, and like that's something to be really proud of.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that it's the end of the journey. Like it's just a really great milestone like along the way.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that sticks out to me was at the end of last year, we got the roasting facility up and running. We brought in someone to like oversee the roasting and the production, and like some of these sort of like big pieces were starting to come together that were a lot of, truthfully, like what his job was. And he's just very good at like operations and systematizing, and that's sort of more of the role that like he plays within 321.
Yeah.
And I remember at the end of the year, he was like, well, I'm going to have fully outsourced Michael Evans's need at 321 Coffee. And I was like, Michael, you are not going to have outsourced your need. There are so many things that like we need you for. And so, I think it is about setting the time aside to like sit down and brainstorm and like come up with like what ideas really make you tick. Because the other reality of being like growing business is like, you got to wear all the hats. So like, yes, you can do the parts that you like, but there's still plenty of things that you need to do that you don't care
100%.
for. And so like, how can you focus in more on doing the parts that you do love? And I mean, Jeb, I would give kudos to you. Like, I would say like, I leverage Michael just as a co-founder and someone that really is like bought in, and like the thought of coming up with some of that like direction setting solo, like that would be really hard.
It is. It definitely is. And I think that was one of the things that was just sort of weighing on me of like, when the company I was at folded, and I was sort of like almost kind of forcefully pushed into trying to create something, and then you sort of set this idea like, well, this is what I'm going to try to create, and then you make it, but you've sort of been in creation mode. You haven't been in like forward thinking mode.
Right.
You kind of have to like almost take a step back and just be like, okay, well, what could this look like? What if where's my energy feel really good that I want to do more of? Where is it maybe not so positive within what I'm doing? So,
and it's like having the system such that it can coast for you to step back and do some of that ideation. And that's, I think, where it can also be difficult when things ramp up really quickly. Like you don't have the capacity to step back because
you're in a season of just like,
like
days are
you're
packed.
just happy to get stuff done in the day.
Yeah.